Before we jump into the meat of today's Cowboys discussion, let me set the scene with something that's been brewing behind the scenes. It's more than just football. It's pride, it's rivalry, and right now there's a battle going on. That doesn't involve pads and helmets. It's all about clicks and likes. The Cowboys report and the Raiders report are neck and neck in a like battle this month, and yeah, we're losing ground. These are the two biggest NFL shows under the Chat Sports umbrella, and the competition is getting real. The full 49ers, there are thousands of likes behind. This is between us and the Raiders, and I refuse to let them pull ahead. So if you're watching this, hit that like button now, and let's make sure we come out on top. All right, now let's get into the story that has every Cowboys fan scratching their heads. Trayvon Diggs, trade rumors. Again, somehow, someway, this storyline refuses to die. Bleacher Report stirred the pot with their piece on players who might need a fresh start, and Diggs was featured prominently. They laid out a few reasons why Dallas might consider moving on from him, and at first glance some of them might sound somewhat reasonable. They mentioned his injury history, the fact that he's been battling to stay healthy, and they pointed out how a post-June 1st trade could help the Cowboys from a salary cap standpoint. But let me be clear, this whole idea of trading Trayvon Diggs right now, it's not just unlikely, it's borderline unrealistic. Let's dig into why this is even a topic again. Bleacher Report's take was essentially built on a few layers. First, the injury history. Diggs suffered a serious knee injury, and there's real uncertainty about his availability to start the season. He may not be ready for week 1. Heck, we don't even know if he'll be on the field in September or October. That kind of ambiguity makes it incredibly difficult for any team to trade for him. No team in their right mind is going to give up assets to take on a cornerback who's owed a significant amount of money and might not even be available until the latter half of the season, if at all. Then there's the financial side of the conversation. Diggs has a cap hit of over $12 million this year. If the Cowboys were to cut him outright, it would leave them with nearly $18 million in dead money. That's more than his cap hit. So yeah, that's not happening. Not even close. A post-June 1st cut would only save the team around $647,000, which barely makes a dent. That's not enough to bring in a replacement. If they did a post-June 1st trade, the savings would be a little more attractive, about $9.6 million in cap space, because the dead money would be split over 2 years. But even with that in mind, there's still a massive elephant in the room. Who's paying $10 million in guaranteed salary for a player coming off a major injury with no timeline for return? And Bleacher Report had the audacity to throw out a potential trade value, a 6th round pick. That's it. A 6th rounder. That's where Diggs' market value supposedly sits right now. And honestly, they might not be far off. If there's no certainty about when he'll play, if he'll be ready, and if he'll even be the same player post-injury, then his value plummets. But that's exactly why this trade isn't happening. What general manager in the NFL is looking at the current Trayvon Diggs situation and saying, you know what? Let's trade for him, give up a draft pick, and take on that $10 million salary. None. Zero. Not one of them. The Cowboys know that too. That's why this idea of moving on from Diggs now just doesn't add up. He's still got too much upside. Let's not forget how dominant he can be when he's on the field and healthy. The ball hawking ability, the instincts, the confidence, those don't just disappear overnight. And even with the injury setback, the Cowboys' best move is to keep him, rehab him, and see if he can return to form, especially considering the young guys they've added to the secondary. Sure, they brought in Kyer Elam via trade. They drafted Savion Redvell relatively early, but are those guys proven starters yet? Are you really going to bank on Elam, who flamed out in Buffalo, or a rookie to carry the load at corner opposite Daron Bland? That's a risky move. There's also the big picture consideration that no one seems to be talking about. This feels more like the Cowboys setting up a long-term choice rather than an immediate decision. When the time comes, they might have to choose between Diggs and Bland, especially if Bland continues his rise and Diggs doesn't return to full strength. But that's a discussion for next offseason, not right now. Today, Diggs is still a crucial part of this defense, at least once he gets healthy. So why trade him for a 6th round pick just to dump salary? That's basically what this trade would be, a glorified salary dump. You clear a little cap room, you get a low-value draft pick, and in exchange, you lose one of the top corners in the league, if and when he's back to full health. That's not a good deal for Dallas. And again, that's assuming some other team is willing to take on the financial burden and the medical risk, which seems far-fetched. Looking ahead, I genuinely believe this season is shaping up to be a prove-it year for Trayvon Diggs. It's going to be a make or break campaign. The Cowboys have already guaranteed his salary this season, so the money is locked in. The move now is to ride it out, see how he recovers, and hope he can get back to his elite form. That way, even if you do decide to move on later, you're doing it from a position of strength, not out of desperation. Now, while we're on the topic of veterans potentially joining or leaving the team, let's pivot to the offensive side of the ball, specifically the backfield. There's been a lot of noise lately around Nick Chub. Former players, fans, even analysts have started floating the idea of Chub joining the Cowboys. Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco himself, threw his name into the conversation. And it's not the first time we've heard it. The Nick Chub to Dallas train keeps chugging along, even if it hasn't pulled into the station yet. At his best, Nick Chub was an absolute machine. A true workhorse running back who could dominate on the ground with raw power, vision, and consistency. We're talking about a guy who averaged over 5 yards per carry throughout his career on high-volume workloads. That kind of efficiency is rare in today's NFL. He wasn't flashy on third downs. He wasn't the best receiving back. But when it came to pounding the rock between the tackles, Chubb was as good as anyone. But here's the catch. That was the old Nick Chubb. The 2024 version? It's a question mark. Coming off a significant injury, entering his age 30 season, and let's be honest, he didn't look the same in his limited appearances last year. The burst wasn't there. The explosiveness wasn't there. He averaged just 3.3 yards per carry. That's not Nick Chubb. That's not the player who used to keep defensive coordinators up at night. And if you're asking whether that version of Chubb moves the needle for Dallas, well, that's a tough sell. Still, there's an argument to be made. The Cowboys' running back room is lacking that true needle mover. Maybe that's Javonte Williams. Maybe it's Miles Sanders. Maybe it's someone unexpected like Jaden Blue, the rookie who brings a little juice. But none of them are proven to be game changers right now. So does rolling the dice on Chubb make sense? Honestly, I get the temptation. If you can bring him in on a low-risk, high-reward deal with no guaranteed money and no promises, why not? You let him compete. If he flashes, awesome. You got a physical downhill runner with experience and leadership. If he doesn't, you cut him. Simple, clean, no harm done. But what you don't do is overcommit. You don't guarantee him a roster spot. You don't give him starter money. Because the odds of him returning to form are slim. Not impossible, but slim. This would be a classic prove-it deal, a flyer. And if he turns out to be cooked, then you treat it like the Dalvin Cook situation last year. Move on and give the reps to someone else. But if he's got anything left in the tank, if he's got one more good season in him, then maybe, just maybe, you've got something there. That's the kind of calculated gamble I can live with. And while we're dreaming about potential moves, let's look at one more name that surfaced recently. Kendall Fuller. Bleacher Report tossed his name into the mix as a guy the Cowboys should consider signing. The rationale? Depth, experience, versatility. Fuller's got a lot of mileage in the league. He's been an outside corner. He's played nickel, and he's done both at a high level. He's not the same player he was in his prime, but he still brings value. This is the kind of move you make closer to training camp. You wait. You see how the young guys look. You evaluate Elam, Revel, Mukuwamu, see if anyone steps up and earns that starting role opposite Bland. If no one separates themselves, that's when you call Fuller. Not now, not tomorrow. Let the competition play out. And honestly, that's probably what Fuller wants too. He's not looking to sign early and end up as cornerback 6 buried on the depth chart. He wants the best chance to compete and contribute. Dallas might just be that opportunity. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Whispers around the NFL world have started to intensify as speculation mounts that star wide receiver Amari Cooper is on the verge of finalizing a major deal with the Dallas Cowboys. Sources suggest that Cooper has just arrived at the Cowboys headquarters fueling rumors that a 4-year contract agreement could be imminent. While nothing has been officially confirmed by the team or the player, insiders hint that the deal could mark a significant move for Dallas as they aim to bolster their offensive firepower. Amari Cooper, known for his precise route running and ability to create separation, has been a sought-after asset in the league for years. The possibility of him signing a long-term deal with the Cowboys has generated considerable excitement among fans and analysts alike. Cooper's arrival at the team's facility suggests that negotiations may have reached the final stages, with contract terms likely being hammered out behind closed doors. The Cowboys have been quietly working to strengthen their receiving corps, and bringing Cooper into the fold could provide a much-needed boost for quarterback Dak Prescott. Cooper's veteran presence and proven track record of consistent production would add a new dynamic to the offense, potentially transforming Dallas into an even more formidable threat on the field. The team's front office appears eager to secure Cooper's services, which could signal a strong commitment to immediate success. Onlookers are closely watching to see how this potential signing will impact the Cowboys' roster construction and salary cap situation. A 4-year deal would represent a significant investment, but also demonstrates the franchise's confidence in Cooper's ability to contribute at a high level for years to come. Fans have already taken to social media, buzzing with anticipation over the prospect of Cooper donning the iconic star on his helmet. While the situation remains fluid and official announcements are still awaited, the atmosphere around the Cowboys' headquarters is charged with optimism and expectation. If the deal goes through as rumored, it could reshape the team's offensive identity and inject new energy into a squad hungry for playoff success. Amari Cooper's potential arrival in Dallas is more than just a signing. It could be the start of a new chapter in the franchise's pursuit of glory. As the clock ticks, the NFL community remains eager for confirmation, with many believing this move could be one of the defining stories of the offseason. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.